Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 564, Mr. Somich.
A big old Philly's taking over the world. Huzzah!
Yeah, let's see, we had Caitlin, her greatness, win the King's Plate over the boys, which was awesome. Torpedo Anna all but won the Travers. Won an absolute effort, yeah. And then Adare Manor taking on the boys in the Breeders' or the Pacific Classic. And previous to that, the Green Flash Handicap, a winning year for the Turf Sprint, has got two females in that race.
Yeah, it's just it's a ladies' world, and we're just living in it, Magic. I don't know if you did this, but as soon as Adare Manor entered this, I went back and watched Beholder's Pacific Classic. Still one of my all-time favorite races to watch. The move that she makes around the far turn just makes it looks like they're all standing still, and she just boom right by and gone. Just it still raises the hairs on my arm every time I see it.
Yeah, one hell of an effort. Could we see the same thing happen again this year? We'll find out. We've got the late pick 5 at Del Mar. It's races 7 through 11. We also have the grade 2 Del Mar mile, which closes things off. It's not a winning year in for the mile, but Du Jour exited this race after we went last year to be in the mile, and we could see at least a couple horses try to make it to the World Championships out of this race. You ready to go, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to be half paying attention here for the first race that we talk about. I'm at a sweat at Saratoga here, trying to hit the pick 5 with the 1, 3, 8, or 9.
Sounds like riders up to me. All right, kicking off the first leg of the Del Mar late pick 5 on Saturday, August 31st. Race 7, it's a 1 1/16 mile turf route. 12 Callewreds, 3 and up, plus 2 also eligibles at this N1X allowance level. Where'd you go on top?
That's not the 7th race that you have up there.
That's not. You're right. That's the Del Mar mile I still have up.
Like, wait a second. I definitely do not.
My dog's screaming in my ear. I'm trying to get him to calm down. My bad. There we go. There's race 7.
Before we handicap this race, I have a question for you. Do you think the 2 McGregor Lake runs?
Yes.
Yes? Even off the 7 days rest?
Yeah.
So McGregor Lake ran a 5 furlong turf sprint on August 25th and is entered back here on the 31st, I think is the day. I sneaky like this horse, but I'm a little concerned about the fact that we're running back on 7 days layoff. So you do think he goes? Because on my ticket, but I wasn't sure if I should. Hey, we'll talk about it when we get there.
I mean, they didn't draw these races until after he'd run, so it's not like he entered early in advance.
All right, I'm not going crazy on top here. Give me Don't Fight the Fed. The 5 horse, 5-2. It just makes all the sense in the world. There's enough speed here where Don't Fight the Fed probably doesn't need the lead. Should be able to sit forwardly in this race and make a move. This horse is super honest at this specific level. Has run at this 20K N1X level 5 times. Has a win, 2 seconds at it. Both of those missing by less than a length. No problem with the turf here. Has finished second by a neck and a nose in the 2 turf efforts period. And has been improving as a 4-year-old as well. So to the 5, Don't Fight the Fed was the top pick for me. Got a little spicy after that though. What about you, Magic? Where are you going on top?
Same top pick for me as well. For all the reasons you mentioned, I don't need to reiterate any of them. I went 3 deep. We agreed on 2 of them. Let's talk about the other one. That's the 11, Stylishly Acclaimed. This horse had to overcome a lot to break the maiden last time out. I don't usually like playing last out maiden winners first time against winners unless they really wowed me. And this wasn't a wow performance just in and of itself, but factor in the horse hadn't run in well over a year. Was going to be trying routing off of that 13-month layoff. And, oh, by the way, runs for a trainer, Carla Gaines, who does not win first off of long-ass layoffs like that. Like, this is the spot you play the Carla Gaines horse. She's like, this one was a sneaky 4th last time out. It'll take a step forward. It's like, shit, this one won from the outside post 10 last time. I was going to break from post 11 unless there's a scratch inside. But did everything really well. Has got Fraser aboard. If Fraser's riding the turf really well. And again, this is the spot where you're supposed to play the horse after not playing last out. I don't know if we get 6-1, but this horse was really impressive with everything stacked against him to win last time out. So we made the ticket.
Yeah, I do think we get 6-1 because of the post and because of the fact of the step up in class here, jumping from the maiden special weight level up to the N1X. I didn't know if I was going to end up with this horse on my ticket, but it ended up being the last horse in for me here in this race. The post is what just scares the crap out of me. It is not easy at all at Del Mar at mile 16th. When you want to be a tactically placed horse, right? If you're coming from way back or if you want to go forward, you can get out of that 11 post and be okay. But the fact that this horse broke from the 10 to 12 last time going a mile, also not an easy post, and was able to, even though kind of never getting to save ground at any point, still win the race, I thought was really impressive. You mentioned Carla Gaines. She's phenomenal off the second off the layoff, but generally not that great off the bench. This horse came running and I thought was really visually impressive as well. So the 11 to me made all the sense in the world to end up on the ticket there. Second horse for me on the ticket. I want to see if this 9 can run down the 1. Oh, come on, buddy. Get up there. Oh, get up there, buddy. Don't stop now. Get up there. Right on by.
What'd you hit?
Middle pick 5 for 10,000.
Hey, now.
There we go.
Why can't it be the shows that we cover once a week?
I know. It's crazy, man. Bombs cash. I got it. I love that, baby. $10,000 for the middle pick 5 at Saratoga. Nice to get one of those home. Whew, all right, let's have a good show now. Yeah, look, for me, it's all about the post there with the 11. We'll see what happens. The second horse on the ticket for me here, the 7, size does matter. Phenomenal name there from Peter Miller. This is a horse that went a mile and an eighth 2 back in the Snow Chief, a state bred stakes race. I thought ran pretty well. Cut back to a mile and 16th last time, but the key for me was that was an open company there, $80,000 open company. That is a very, very difficult way. I didn't know if the 9 was going to win shy. That was why I was just waiting for the wire. So yeah, it was a very, very tough spot to then jump up in. There was a little bit of trouble. I thought the trip was okay, but the thing for me is mile and a 16th at Del Mar, and they go 24-2, 49-3. That is not very fast. So there really wasn't much pace to chase on for size does matter. You're going to get every bit of that pace today. Mile and 16 should be no problem for this horse. Like I said, went a mile and 8 the time before that. It's Peter Miller on the turf. You get Raylu Gutierrez, my boy, up in the saddle as well. I like the price at 12-1. I think there's going to be a ton of pace here as well. So I think this is a very good possibility that we chase this pace home and you get someone to close. I think the 7 has a big chance to do that.
Fourth horse for me in the race, but did not make it onto the ticket for me. All the reasons you mentioned. Admittedly, I did all the handicapping and made my ticket, and then right before the show started, I saw the odds and went, "Oh, so I've got the 3 shortest prices here." If you don't want to use the 3 shortest prices, this is the one I would use at 12-1. I think you're getting a good price. You outlined too with that excuse for the mile and 16th dud. Open company, super slow. They never go that slow like that. Third one for me, the number 9, Pure Madness. This is a filly. I keep wanting to say filly. This is a horse who broke his maiden on debut sprinting at San Diego. It was going 6.5. So usually if a trainer debuts a horse at 6.5, 7 furlongs, they're probably thinking 2 turns in the future. Tried the Real Good Stakes last time out, Real Good Deal Stakes, and had to break from the rail first start facing winners. First time off of the that maiden debut win. First time trying dirt, and I thought ran a pretty good second. All things considered, Curlin's Chaos dusted him there. But now he comes back to the surface, which is probably the best for him. Sir Prancelot produces 15% turf route sires, and you got a trainer in Brian Coroner who's pretty light at the meet so far, just 2 for 27, but he is 17% with a really positive ROI going dirt to turf. So saying, okay, this is definitely a turf horse. Let's put it back on the turf. So I think that the 9 has a world of talent. This is a bit of a step up and has never tried routing, and it's a short price. So I can see some of the arguments against it. Really, it's the short price. I look at this and go, shit, yeah, I don't know if I like Pure Madness as much anymore just because of that 3-1 number.
Yeah, I handicapped with the odds, and the 3-1 was a big part of this for me. I mean, you also look back, broke the maiden at 17-1 on the turf, so it was a surprise maiden breaker, then comes back at a shorter price, disappoints there. Now you're doing all of these new things, and I thought you did a great job of breaking down all of the new things that the 9 Pure Madness is trying to do here, and all of those new things, plus the price in the first race, plus the price in this race, kept me off the 9 horse. I wouldn't be shocked if the 9 wins, but I couldn't do it because of everything else that was going on there or in that specific spot with the 9. I'm going to go to McGregor Lake. This was my 3rd pick in the race. I actually considered putting McGregor Lake on top before I realized the 7-day layoff thing. That's the reason why McGregor Lake fell from 1st to 3rd for me. 20-1 on the morning line. Look, the 2-horse, I think, is going to sit an absolutely beautiful trip. And you look at that last race, the 5 furlong turf sprint, the horse didn't break well at all, was in the back. I thought still made a good run on for 8th place, but was only 2 3/4 lengths back of that. So it wasn't a bad race at all there. Should sit a perfect trip right behind the speed here, is able to pass horses. We saw that going 6 furlongs. We saw that when the horse went a mile and was able to pass a couple of horses, finished just a couple lengths behind Don't Fight the Fed when this horse ran 4th at a mile distance. I don't think the 1.25 miles is an issue. I think you've got tactical speed. It's 3rd off the layoff, 2nd time turf off the layoff for a 4-year-old, taking on a bunch of 3-year-olds. A lot of reasons to like McGregor Lake here, and the price is right there at 20-1 as well.
I'll let him beat me. You were outlining good reasons to like the horse at a price. I don't trust Mick Ruiz to train a horse to win a 1-horse race right now. Honestly, he's just not a fan of Mick Ruiz. But you outlined the points, and again, you're going to get a big price on him. He's 21 morning line. You should get every bit of that.
Yeah, I expect that 20-1. Again, like I'm singling, so I get to throw some fun horses on here, which is kind of how I like to structure some of these tickets. And this is one of those fun horses. I legitimately do think this horse is going to be way undervalued, because you look at the running lines, and you're like, meh, no, nah. But if you go back and you look at what this horse did late in or early in the 4-year-old season, comes back off the layoff, improves quite a bit second time out, then runs a 2-turn race on the turf, runs just 3 lengths behind the horse that we both have on top, takes a break, then comes back in that turf race and improves off of it. I think there's more in the tank here for McGregor Lake. We'll see if we get it on Saturday.
So if the 2 ends up scratching, because we're both assuming the 2 will run, if the 2 scratches, do you have a horse to replace with, or are you going to just switch your ticket up different?
If the 2 scratches, I will switch my ticket up, because I would add the 9. Like, that would be the next one, or the 6. The Yo Time and the 9 Pure Madness were the other 2 horses that I was looking at. They're 6-1. They're 3-1. I can't add the 9. I can't do it at this price, considering everything that we laid out around what's changing. It's not a horse that I want on my tickets. The 6 Yo Time, I think, makes some sense, but I do think there is enough pace in here that's going to be hard for Yo Time to go gate to wire, and I think that's when he's best at his game.
Second leg of the Del Mar Lane Pick 5 on Saturday, August 31st. Race 8. It's a 1-mile dirt route for 10 males, 3 and up plus 1. Also eligible, again, at this N1X allowance spot. And you and I were talking beforehand, we both hate these 1-mile dirt route non-stakes races at Del Mar. Like the lower the level, the worse I feel about my chances. Like, it's a 5-horse field. They're in for $12,500 claiming tags, and none of them like to lead. It's like, how? Somebody has to win this. Who wins this?
That's a great question. That is a good question. I think we're gonna go in different directions here. Give me the 3-horse on top. El Rey Dorado, because if Mick Ruiz is gonna win 1, why not win 2, right?
If Lightning's gonna strike once, why not strike twice back to back?
I love the race 2 back. And that, to me, is the big one. It's Santa Anita 2 back, going a mile, able to go gate to wire. El Rey Dorado here, clearly your inside speed, so should be able to get the lead. And one of the reasons that I don't like these 1-mile turf races is they are such a freaking mess into that first turn, because you don't have any time at all to try and get position when you're going into the first turn. I would expect we're going to see some horses that are hung 3-4 wide get absolutely pushed out. Then all of a sudden you're going to see the leader 2 lengths in front of everybody, because that's what happens in these races at Del Mar around the first turn. I think El Rey Dorado is the one who really benefits from that, being the speed on the inside. There's other speed in here, but there's not anyone else where I'm like, oh yeah, that horse is going to be able to take away the lead from El Rey Dorado. The biggest concern would be the 9 Fast Draw Money, the 10 Scatify all the way on the outside. But like, breaking from the 10 post and making the lead into the turn at Del Mar is exceedingly difficult, especially when you have a fast horse in the 3. I think the 3 controls the pace up front, has a chance to take this field gate to wire.
I went back and forth on the 3, ended up being, I think, 4th for me, but didn't use the horse. So we each went through. There's 2 races where it's impossible to Franken ticket for Mike and I without spending an arm and a leg, because we each have a single that's separate. We each went 3 deep here, and we're separate on all 3 of them. I was close on the 3. I ultimately left off because I looked at the field that the horse had that nice gate to wire win going a mile at Santa Anita back in February. I'm like, yeah, but I think there's other horses in here that have a better chance than the horse was the $1.70 favorite. I think there are much better horses. So I'm worried about the horse being speed and quit. You did mention, as far as speed goes, I think that the 6 is going to go, especially now the blinker's off. First off, the long layoff for Baffert, the 9, 10 Scatify. If the the 11 draws in McLaren Vale, that's another one that's going to have some speed. It'll be outside. You do have the advantage of the 3 as long as he breaks well, the 2-1 should not be any factor going to that first turn.
Yeah, I don't think the 1 or 2 will be. So my second pick here was right to the inside here. Passerando here, the 2-horse, 8-1 on the morning line. I love how you're making these faces. We're going to this is going to be a fun episode. A lot of times we agree. We are complete disagreement here, even singling the same race against each other, which I kind of love a little bit. But yeah, give me Passerando here. This is another one where, look, I realize it's changing barns from Steve Speck to Francisco Garcia. Garcia 1 for 15 on the year, 1 for 15 on the meet. Not the most wonderful thing. But this was the horse that I think benefits from the early pace. Passerando has some tactical speed early and has shown the ability to pass horses late. I realize the win I'm referencing is at Pleasanton. It's not quite the top level. I get it, but it was a $62,000 optional claimer and 2X, which is a decent level. We're dropping in here for the tag. That's why we're eligible at the end 1X level. And there are other races that are good enough on paper, albeit on other surfaces, that show me this horse can win. And by the way, only 4 races on the fast dirt in 20 race career. 2 for 4 on the fast dirt. Maybe we should be running on the fast dirt more often here with Passerando. I like the price. I love the setup. To me, this was a horse where I just think it's the perfect trip. If you're talking about this mile at Del Mar, you've got all this speed that's signed on. I think the speed of the speed is the 3, but you have 2 or 3 other horses to the outside that want to push the pace. Guess who gets pocketed up? The 2 horse should sit the perfect trip right behind the speed here and then be able to make one run. So I'll take a little shot again here with the 2 horse Passerando at 8-1.
I'm not making a face at your picks. I'm literally making a face at the smell because my dog has stopped whining and I understand why. And it is not far at all from where I'm sitting, and this is going to be a long rest of the show. I was listening, but I was also trying to figure out where is the smell coming from, and then I realized, oh, it's right there behind me. Another horse I considered, and I remember when this horse won at Pleasanton, beating Tessero, who was my pick in that race. And Tessero, I thought, sprint to route, easy lead. Passerando still managed to run him down. And this is a race where I'm taking a shot against the 4-1 horse on the rail, Brightleaf, who's first off the claim, and really nice win last out, but several reasons I'm against there. And I'm also against the 6 Ultra Power at 3-1 for Bob Baffert, which might be a very detrimental thing for me, but I'm going to try and beat her here. So I was looking at other horses outside of those. The 3 and the 2 considered, just didn't pull the trigger on either one of them, but we had the same idea in that we, at least our top picks in this race, we went for horses with bigger odds. We went double digit and 8-1.
Yeah, look, this is going to be a fun race. Like, it just is. I ended up just chickening out. I used Ultra Powered. You didn't use Ultra Powered, did you? The
Nope.
Baffert. This is one of those where if Hernandez wasn't up, I wouldn't be playing this horse. The fact that Hernandez is up on Ultra Power scares the crap out of me with this horse. And you also have a horse that's carrying 119 as a 3-year-old against a bunch of horses that are carrying heavier. I went back and forth. Talk me off Ultra Power. Tell me why I shouldn't include this ticket. Because I was between the 9 Fast Draw Munnings and the 6 Ultra Power. And I couldn't decide which way to go.
I didn't like the debut. I remember this horse debuted, and I didn't like the way that he had looked up. That was the debut spot, but it was a race I thought he should have won. He had to go to Los Al daytime to win. That's not usually a horse that look at Scatify, who we just neither of us used in the last race. Like Scatify, we didn't want, or sorry, he's in this one, but neither of us are using him here. It's like, okay, well, he had to do Los Al daytime to break his maiden. It's not usually where the best of the best are at. And I thought it was so weird that out of that, I think we all did, that Ultra Power went to the Turf Mile Stakes on the Breeders' Cup undercard and got his ass beat. Now, there's some really good horses in there, but none of it made sense. And then we don't see the horse for,
A year,
11
almost.
months, 10 months here. So it could be very detrimental. The works are very consistent for Ultra Power, but it just feels like a horse that Unique Bella didn't run well at Del Mar all the time. Maybe it's an issue for Ultra Power. I don't know. For me, I also didn't. I knew this horse would get bet to the moon, and because of who I'm singling later, I didn't want to do that here.
Yeah, I don't know if this horse gets bet to the moon. Do you think the Ultra Power goes off? I guess we'll go off as the favorite. I thought Brightleaf was going to be the favorite when I looked through this.
I think what Curtis Manlos said is going to be a lot of people's thoughts is Baffert by Daylights because it looks like a terrible race on paper.
Yeah, the race does look bad. I don't know if you meant the Baffert looked bad or the race looks bad. The fact that we're taking shots here also tells you kind of what we think of the race as well. I'm going to stick with the 6. Give me 2, 3, 6 here to get through it. All right, where'd you go next?
All right, so top. I got all 3 to give you still. Top pick for me, I'll go fast. The number 9 Fast Draw Munnings. This horse coming off of a long layoff. We haven't seen it since last September, but 2 races back came from I do the quick math in my head. 15 months off in this exact same setup, which was a mile race for first level optional claimers. This horse went to the front under Barrios and just took off and got the win. Now, Barrios is committed to Scatify. Unfortunately, that's, the downside of being tied to John Sadler's. When you ride the good horses, it's great, but you also got to ride horses like Scatify that neither of us thinks is going to win. But we're going to talk him right into the winner's circle here.
No
but
kidding.
They've had trouble keeping fast draw monies going, but he just runs very well. He's 1 for 2, like I mentioned, at the course. He also was third in his second career start, and that was in a Cowbred Stakes race. I think he sits a really good. He's not a need the lead type. He's shown in the past that he can win from off of it going 2 turns. He did that in the Cal Cup Derby in 2022. And the layoff's not a concern. And his figure for being second in the E.B. Johnson Stakes behind Kings River Knight, who just continues to win stakes races against Cowbreds on dirt and turf. I think he fits in here really well. And I think the layoff will concern some people, but he's come back from it in the past. And Raylo Gutierrez, he's done a lot better this meet than I thought he would. He's 2 for 3 riding for Mullins in California. So I don't miss Barrios that much.
Yeah, it's the draw that really separated the 9 from everything else. I agree with you. He doesn't need the lead. I think he kind of wants the lead, though, like better when he is on it or close to it. And I'm worried that on it or close to it means 3 to 4 wide in the first turn. That was the big difference here between the 6 and the 9, is that the trip in my mind for the 9 is just so hard to work out for him to win. Now, like you referenced, to be able to sit from off the pace and win, going the mile and 16th when it was in that Cal Cup Derby, that's going to need to be the type of effort. I just don't know if he can do it against this group. Like, I realize we're like, hey, this isn't that good of a group. That being said, you do have a bunch of horses that consistently run numbers that are better than what he was doing at 2 turns back there. His numbers in the last 2 were better at 2 turns. The last one, though, was at Los Al. We know how I feel about Los Al speed figures. And the race 2 back, he went gate to wire and uncontested. And so you're not going to get that trip again. That was why I just couldn't talk myself into fast draw moneys.
So one horse, you know what he's going to get despite the wide draw. The 8 Better Than Gold is also on my ticket. And I usually hate to play closers on the dirt at Del Mar, especially going 2 turns. I thought there's enough pace in here that the horses will come back to him. It's a matter of how far back is he, but he came back from a 3-month break. He broke, 8 lengths behind in a 10-horse field over this exact same setup. And Full Serrano just absolutely blitzed the field early, went way too fast, but then ended up still winning comfortably. And he's in the Pacific Classic. Some people think he's got a good long shot chance to win that race. This is the only horse that closed on him in that race, Better Than Gold. And it was a very kind of slow plodding kind of dirt that day. If you look at the other come home times for the other races, nobody was really going on the dirt, but this horse managed to get the job done. Second off the layoff. He's also carrying 119 pounds like Scatify and Ultra Power, which I think will help him when he comes charging late. And Frizu's riding, and I've been impressed with how well Frizu has continued to ride at Del Mar. He started off with a lot of seconds. He couldn't get winners home, and then like a switch went off halfway through the meet, and now he's flying up the win standing. So the 8 Better Than Gold, I think, definitely outruns the 12-1 morning line. It's a matter of how much does the pace come back to him.
Yeah, this was the one that I looked at that I ended up not using because of again what you said, trying to close that much ground on the dirt. And like the time you mentioned, that was a slow come home time. They went 27 seconds for that final 2 furlongs, and he was not able to run down the winner in that case. That was a little bit of a concern for me. I think Better Than Gold is a very good trifecta play, superfecta play. Like, I think he's hitting the board at a number that is going to make it pay out. I just don't think he can get the win. That's what ended up keeping me off the 8. But again, Freysu second off the layoff, 12-1, horse that's won over the course and distance. Like, I would not talk you off it on your ticket if you do think he can win.
Last one for me that I used, I ended up going, this is one I was back and forth with between El Rey Dorado. I went with a 5, Dual Threat. I think this horse is going to be interesting. Bob has second off of these long layoffs, 21% with a positive ROI. But I thought that the race 2 back when he was going to mile and 16th at Santa Anita against Optional Claimer Starter Allowance Company, I thought that was a really solid effort. That, again, if I think there's going to be enough pace coming back, I think this is a horse that'll benefit and be running late as well. I'm going to forgive him for being, 4th, beating 19 in the Cougar 2, because that was just a race where Midnight Mammoth went out to the lead and Reincarnate went in second, and everybody said, let's just run around in place for a mile and a half on the dirt and put everybody to sleep that has to watch it. Scratch that off. I think this horse is going to get the right setup. He's got to win in 2/3 here at Del Mar, and he's got to win at the distance, and that big win 2 races back back in May, I think is helpful for him. Maldonado's not in town. He's at Kentucky Downs. He's riding Ruby Nell. So, good. I would chase Ruby Nell and all the money at Kentucky Downs too. So I don't mind that Kamira is going to replace him here.
Yeah, the issue issue for me with this one was the mile, right? It's on 1-for-8 at a mile, and you mentioned has one at the distance. That win came against $20,000 maiden claimers, so not exactly a level that you're like, oh hey, he really beat some good horses there. No, it was rough, and like the effort you're referencing is a mile and 16th, 2 back. I think Dual Threat's just too far back. Another one I think could easily run up into the trifecta, but probably doesn't win the race.
Well, we did see it a little differently, but we did think that taking shots in here with prices was the way to go. So if we didn't talk about one you liked at a price, we're probably thinking the same way you are. Third leg of the Del Mar Late Pick 5 on Saturday, August 31st. Race 9 is the Grade 3 Green Flash Handicap. A dozen horses sprinting 5 furlongs on the turf. And I say horses because Ladies' Day at Del Mar, it's not just the Pacific Classic, it's this race as well. We have 2 females signed on to face 10 males. It's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. We have some agreement to agree on the top pick, Mike.
Well, let's find out. Give me the 8. None Hudson on top here. Shipping in for Wesley Ward. Hernandez picks up the mount. I thought the last race from None Hudson was sneaky good, going 5.5 furlongs at Saratoga. Had a disastrous start to the race. Doesn't really, it says bumped after break. This horse is never 8 lengths back at first call. It was not a good start for None Hudson. Still came running on. I thought still showed a nice version of himself that day. That was first off the layoff of over 7 months coming back from last December, which was a nice win at 5 furlongs at Gulfstream Park. So I'm not concerned about the short 5 furlong distance. I thought the horse came running well in that race, ended up finishing 5th, but was only 1 length from all of the money. I think None Hudson improved second off the layoff here and has a chance to take a big step forward. And my main thing here was I'm taking shots against Notorious. I'm taking shots against Turn on the Jets. I'm taking shots against Unquestionably Keen. Horses that all have more back class than the horses I'm taking, but have not been able to revert to that class in a while now. I'd rather take some prices and take some numbers in here. And so, the second shortest price I'm going to take here is the 8-horse 6-1 None Hudson. Who'd you have on top?
So not that horse, but I did make it on the ticket. So we had some agreement there. I did put Motorius on top. He's the defending champ. He's 2 for 2 over the course and distance. I like that he's drawn outside. When he won the Green Flash last year, he was post 7 of 12. Before that, in the turf sprint at Churchill Downs on Derby weekend, he broke from post 9 of 11 and just missed to No Balls, who then beat him again in the Breeders' Cup turf sprint. He's had some issues this year, but I'll forgive him for losing the turf sprint at Churchill Downs to Cogburn, who exited that to set the world record at 5.5 furlongs. And then he went to San Diego for that allowance race and just kind of ran in place. He's got to rebound from that, but I still think he's good enough to win this race and to win here. Fraser keeps them out. So I'm going to keep him on here, but I ended up going 5 deep here. So I didn't think he was a slam dunk.
Yeah, the price with what we've seen the last couple. And I agree with you. The turf sprint, he also had a rough start. He had to check in that race. Like there was other things that went wrong for him in that turf sprint. The last race was just inexcusable to me. Like that was not a good effort. And so it's just like, all right, I'm not going to take this.
Sometimes horses have bad days. It happens.
Yeah, that's not allowed in this. You can't have bad days. Only good days. And speaking of someone who has pretty much only good days, let's go to the inside. Second pick for me, one of those, the mare actually here, not the filly, the mare here, the 9, Connie Swingle, who just loves to win. 11 races in her career, 7 wins, 3 seconds, 1/3, never missed the money. I think she has a shot at upsetting the boys here. Took a long layoff, came back to a 5 furlong race, the Daisy Cutter Del Mar for D'Amato. She looked awesome. Like, I don't know if you went back and watched that replay. I forgot how good she looked in that. Never looked like a loser. Absolutely stormed to the front. Set a career best number for herself that day, which was off a 2-year layoff. Now you get D'Amato second off the layoff. I think she's going to be all systems go. And she has that perfect style for Del Mar as well. She's got tactical speed, but she likes to pass other horses. The question here is taking on the boys. I am not as big of a taking on the boys turf sprinting kind of person. Like, I think that the fillies, especially with the edge on the weight, have a very good chance against the boys. And so I don't mind taking a filly against a field full of dudes when we're talking about turf sprinting. Some other things I think are more difficult. 2 turns on the dirt. I think that's a lot more difficult than 1 turn on the turf, especially 5 furlongs. By the way, hat tip to Torpedo Anna, who again ran phenomenal in the Travers. But I think Connie Swingle has every chance at winning this race here. So I'll put her as the other must use for me at 9-2. And then we're going to go price shopping here. Who's your second horse, Magic?
It's Connie Swingle. She was my second pick in the Daisy Cutter. I loved how good she looked. She could not have looked any better, especially with that layoff. And you mentioned the weight. She's carrying 118. The weight variances are 117 to 123. Third for me is a horse that's carrying 117 pounds, and that's the other filly in this race, the number 3 Sassy Nature, for our boy Luis Mendez, who's hasn't had the 2-year-old stock that he's normally gotten this year. Need him to kick things into gear, but this filly back in his control, going 5 furlongs over this course, beat males last time out. Beat a bunch of these horses before on the front end. She had no issue facing them. She actually is now going to carry less weight than she did that day, but she's also just a very fast horse. Now she's not a horse that can be passed early and then come back on you. That's not her style. But I love that she's breaking from the inside, where I think that the 2 has got some speed, the 3's faster. I think that the 1 has got some speed. I think the 3's faster. So if she can outbreak those 2 horses, the 4's not going with her. The 5's probably not going to, she's not fast enough to go with her. The 6, if she does, it's a suicide mission. So at that point, I'm looking at like the 3 might just scoot clear on the inside. And if she doesn't get enough pressure early, she's going to have the shortest trip around. So I did put the 3 Sassy Nature carrying the field low 117, going 2 for 3 over this course as my third pick.
Yeah, what are 2 dangerous things? Inside speed, dangerous, because you get to cut the corner. You get to the lane first. Speed of the speed, also dangerous. When you have a race that looks like it has a ton of speed on paper, but there's clearly one horse who is the fastest, that makes it very hard for any other speed to be very competitive. It also can set up a wall of horses behind that one speed horse that all backs up when that horse has the opportunity to keep going, especially at the top of the stretch, thus causing bad trips for everybody else. You also have the option of Sassy Nature just running them off their feet. I think all 3 are possible here. Like, she's going to make the lead. She's going to be on the rail, and she's going to absolutely decimate some of these horses' hearts when they can't catch her early in that turn. So I think she's in the lead at the top of the stretch. The question is, does anyone run her down? And I think that it's a good chance that the answer, it's a reasonable chance the answer is no. And again, because, we're both singling later, we could have a little fun here, throw a couple of prices in here and some interesting ways that they can get home. The 3 was my third pick in the race, definitely on the ticket. The 4th, I'm going to go to the rail. Give me Fast Buck here at 15-1 is the last horse and from this race that makes the ticket. Fast Buck's another one that could be the speed of the speed. I actually liked what Fast Buck did last race, and that was first off the layoff after almost a full year layoff. The horse comes back $100,000 race, the one with Sassy Nature, with Daniel's Magic, and breaking from the 2 post, doesn't break very well, gets shuffled all the way back to the field. I thought still ran on very well. Ends up running finishing only 2 lengths back, just a head back of Unquestionably Keen in that spot. This is one of those horses where if they decide, hey, Fast Buck can pass somebody, maybe we should just rate on the inside right behind the speed. All of a sudden, Fast Buck becomes really dangerous, because the other thing you'll notice, and when we talk about this too, the sprint races, both at Saratoga and Del Mar, 1 through 6 posts have a big time advantage. What do you notice about the 1 through 6 post here, Magic?
They're all long shots.
All double digits. All of your favorites are hung wide. So if I can find a horse who I think is going to be able to hang out on the inside, has the ability to pass horses, and might just get that perfect trip while everyone else is trying to spin 5, 6, 7 wide, and Fast Buck and duck 1 off the rail and try and run down Sassy Nature, I'll take a little bit of a chance here. So give me the 1 at 15-1 as well.
I did use, but you made a good case for it. And if the horse out, if the 3 stumbles, if the 1 suddenly inherits an easy lead, and then suddenly you just, the argument for the 3, reverse it onto the 1. A last one for me, I did use Unconquerable Keen in here. This horse got to revert form, but I think that this horse would not be here if D'Amato didn't believe in him. D'Amato's got 1 million entries in here. Barrios is going to keep riding this horse 2 races back. Had the lead, faded to second. Last time out, Sassy Nature, he was just chasing her the entire time. If Sassy Nature doesn't get an easy lead, this is going to be one of the first horses I think sitting right behind her that can get the jump. I like being more outwardly drawn. And again, getting Barrios is no small feat. He's 33% with the 280 ROI riding for Phil D'Amato at Del Mar. And I think he's as good as he is on dirt. I think he's even better on turf.
Unlike Notorious, I think the price is right on Unconquerably Clean as well, right? 8-1. to revert back to that form, I think is a much better number than 7-2 for a horse that's going to need to close from that 10 post as well. I would much rather use the 7 than the 10 here if I was going to add a D'Amato to my ticket, an additional one.
All right,
the 8, 9.
Let's take a look at the race where we're going to have battling singles. It's the penultimate leg of the late pick 5 at Del Mar, Saturday, August 31st. It is race 10, the Grade 1 Pacific Classic Stakes, presented by FanDuel Racing. And this is a 1.25-mile race for 9 horses, 8 of them boys. The champion mare, Adare Manor, is not only taking on the boys, she's the 9-5 favorite. It's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And if you were listening earlier, Mike kind of tipped off that he was not going to play Adare Manor. So who's your single in the Pacific Classic?
I'm going to go with Dr. Venkman, the 3-horse here for Glatt and Fresu. I'll let you make the argument for Adare Manor before I blast her to smithereens. But look, Venkman is a horse that's just gotten better with every step, has tactical speed. This race somehow doesn't have that much speed signed on. Like the 6 Full Serrano, I think is definitely going to go. Adare Manor probably wants to sit close to the pace, but so does Dr. Venkman. If it's Full Serrano out front, Adare Manor on his flank, and Dr. Venkman sitting in the pocket, I like Dr. Venkman even more here. But he's just gotten better and better, and he still has a boatload of talent left. This is a 4-year-old by Ghost Sapper, 3 wins in 5 starts, 2 second places, back-to-back Grade 2s, lost to Happy Jack, 2 back going 7, stretches out to the mile and the 16th, and looks very impressive in the San Diego Handicap, the local prep for this race. The longer distance should be a good thing for Dr. Venkman, not a bad thing. This is a son of Ghost Sapper. I think this is a horse that just keeps improving, and if he keeps improving, I think he is going to be very dangerous for the rest of this field. Love the tactical speed. Love the fact that the horse still finishes with it. Give me the 3-horse Dr. Venkman here as a single.
Yeah, I had Dr. Venkman second. There was no way I was going to boo Adare Manor and Dr. Venkman on the ticket. It doesn't make sense. Now, a couple knocks for me against Venkman, and I respect the hell out of him, and if he wins, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. But where I kind of was able to knock things off and put him in second behind Adare Manor, it was his first time going a mile and the 16th. First time going 2 turns was last time out. The breeding says mile and a quarter should be something he handles, but it's a big jump for them to go from 8.5 to suddenly 10 furlongs against some horses that are proven at the distance, or at least proven to go long and consistently run well at it. And he also got a little bit leg weary at the end of the San Diego Handicap. Katona actually came back and started to make it a little interesting on him. Now, I think if he got leg weary, I'm trying to remember now if something happened in this stretch where he just like stutter stepped a little bit, but he's got a world of talent. I love Mark Glatt. I love Antonio Fresu. He's got the right trip within him to get to win this race as well, right? Like, I don't think you want to be the leader. I think you want to let a horse like Full Serrano go out. If somebody other than Mike Smith was on Il Miracolo, I'd think that horse would go, but Mike Smith doesn't usually jump on the guns very quickly. So I don't know about that. And then otherwise, I think it's Venkman, and I think it's Adare Manor kind of sitting right in a pocket trip, and really kind of how you outlined it. What about Reincarnate? Like, where does Reincarnate sit? Do we just tell Kamira go and try and ensure an honest pace, or what?
I don't think. Here's the problem. Like, Adare Manor wants to be on or close to the lead. So there's not a benefit of Reincarnate just going, right? Like, that's the problem, is that you take both Reincarnate and Adare Manor out of their race if you just send Reincarnate. And so I don't think it makes any sense. And so the normal situation where we talk about the Bafferts boxing everybody else out, like, the only way you do that is if Reincarnate goes to the outside and then lets Adare Manor pass and then tucks back to the inside, essentially boxing out Full Serrano. The problem is Full Serrano's faster than both of them. Like, so I'm not sure how Reincarnate is able to really box through everybody. And if Reincarnate goes and Full Serrano clears, which I think Full Serrano can, all of a sudden Adare Manor's 3 wide on the first turn. So like there's just so many nuances there that kind of mess up the normal Baffert strategy based on where they drew.
So yeah, I've got Adare Manor on top, and I think that she's just this year as a 5-year-old has looked like a new horse, and she's finishing races, just as strong as she ever had. The Apple Blossom, just, I think that's the best. Until the Clement Hirsch, I thought that was the best race of her career, was winning the Apple Blossom. The Clement Hirsch, her jockey, Juan Hernandez, let her get into all sorts of trouble. She didn't get the lead right out of the gate, even though she was post 2. She ended up having to sit, and she got boxed in the turn and had to, Hernandez looked like he was about to lose every Baffert mount from here to eternity if he screwed this up. And he passed Scylla, a very talented horse, a graded stakes winner, going a mile and a 16th. He passed her in that race like she was tied to the 8th pole, like right past her. And it was one of those things where I just went, I saw a new gear out of her and went, holy shit, like she looks better than she ever has. And so when I take it back to her versus Dr. Venkman, she's going to have a 5-pound weight allowance. She's, I mean, one of the best. She's the best dirt route horse in California in training. Now, I think maybe Venkman might have a little more upside, but we already know what Adare Manor's. She's at her ceiling, and it's a really damn high ceiling. So I'm gonna roll with her here. I know it's a tough test, but it's ladies of the summer. Let's keep it going.
It's a summer of the ladies, I think, is what you're looking for. So what do we feel about the overall female older group in California? Do you think they were good? Do you think it's not good? Do you think it's Adare Manor and there's a huge drop off? What are your thoughts on that?
Going 2 turns. I think there are 2 fillies out there, or 2 females that are at the tops of their division. It's Adare Manor and it's Sweet Azteca, who beat her in the Beholder Mile, who I think is as good as any filly and mare sprinter. She just has not been tested at all in any of her races in California. But I think it's those 2 horses and then nothing else after that.
Yeah, my problem is who's Adare Manor beat. Like, and I realize it's weird saying that because Dr. Venkman hasn't really beat anybody either. So I get that.
He beat Post Time. He did beat Post Time. We'll give him credit for that. He finished ahead of Post Time in the Perryville.
But like the one time Adare Manor actually took on a bunch of other good fillies, she ran 7th in the Breeders' Cup Distaff at her home track. Like, so I just I can't. I think Adare Manor ends up going off at 7-5, 6-5 in this spot. Like, yeah. There's just too many question marks for me for a horse that I think the fillies on the East Coast are significantly better than the fillies on the West Coast. I think the males on the East Coast probably better than the males on the West Coast, which means that maybe this is a fair fight here for Adare Manor and Dr. Venkman. But like, I cannot lay a short price here with Adare Manor, who I think is going to get bet off the board, going to be the clear draw for this specific classic from a public money perspective. Yes, she can win. She can 100% win. I don't think the odds of her winning are going to be anywhere close to what she actually goes off at. I think she should probably be 3-1, 7-2 in this race. I think I have her picked 4th in this race. If it kind of tells you where I'm feeling about her, I'm 3-6-1-7. Like, so I don't think that she has a very good chance at winning this race. And at the price, there's no way I could use her.
I was looking up what Rob mentioned. The rail set at 30 feet today for Del Mar, which I think they're probably trying to save the inside part for the end of the summer big races there. But long shot 1, 24-1 come from off the pace, going 5 furlongs in a turf sprint there. So the turf course was a super highway to start things off. And I noticed in the last week and a half, it's like, okay, all right, now we can close on the turf. Okay, that's a good thing. And that kind of leads us into the 5th and final leg here of the late pick 5 at Del Mar on Saturday, August 31st. The grade 2 at Del Mar mile. We've got a field of 10 older males going, of course, a mile on the turf course here. It's not officially a win in year in for the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile, but you'd expect to see at least the winner, if not the top couple horses, come out of this race and head there. Who do you got on top?
Yeah, it's interesting that Del Mar turf course. We talked about it a couple years ago about how it changes during the meet, how it changes from a speed favoring turf course to a closing turf course, and it can adjust back at certain times as well, depending on what we've seen just from the weather and how utilized the turf course gets, because it's just interesting how it plays differently once it's been run over. So you always got to keep an eye on that Del Mar turf course. Look, I chalked out here. Give me DeJour on top. At a mile, I think DeJour is just the best horse, and that to me here is the key. The mile distance. Last time was at a mile and 1/8 in the Eddie Reed. Look, that was too long. It was just that simple. If you go back to the mile numbers, 12 races, 5 of them wins. Del Mar, 2 wins in 2 starts when we're talking about stakes company going a mile over this turf course. There is enough pace for DeJour to chase here, has some tactical speed. I think just clearly the best horse in this field. So I put DeJour on top, even though he is your 8-5 favorite here.
Defending champ is the top pick for both of us. The winner in each of his last 2 starts, Johannes, that's the best turf horse in Southern California right now. And was one of the few horses I think that could go to, depending on which race. If he goes to the mile, he might have a better shot, but I think he could actually contend for hitting the board in a Breeders' Cup turf race. As far as the Americans go. Next up for me, I went just to his outside. I went with the number 9 First Piece, the race that he won, the Wicker Stakes, that 1:33 4. That is still the fastest turf mile that we've had at Del Mar all meet long. He did it from off the pace. He was 7 lengths behind at one point, so it wasn't like he got out to an easy lead and just went off. He's going to have to sit off of the pace a little bit. With Mike Smith aboard, Mike will hopefully get him into the right position, but he's run well in the past. His kind of Achilles heel has been stepping up to this level. He was 4th in the kill row behind Du Jour earlier in the year, but I think he's progressed and he's shown that he likes the Del Mar turf course. He was 3rd in the Cecil B. DeMille Stakes grade 3 race back when he was a 2-year-old, so a couple of years ago. But I did put him on here. Like I said, post isn't perfect, but I like the way he's trending right now.
Yeah, look, you're going to have to work around the post, as you said, but I do think the horse has been getting better. We'll see. Like that's one of those where it was tough for me to get to, but I understand why people are going to play him. Give me the 2 horse here, Halfway Line in second place. This is a D'Amato horse, which I think is not going to get respected. This is one that's stepping up in class here. Race over in Europe early through the 3-year-old season, jumped up into the 4-year-old season here in the U.S. I think has gotten better and better. Now, Barrios not on the mount here. I kind of wish we got Hector back, but we're going to get Kyle Frey aboard. The last race I thought was awesome. It's another one of those where I went back and watched the replay. Probably going to have to improve a little bit here to be able to beat this field, but at the 12-1 price, or 15-1 price, I'm sorry, I'm more than happy to take a little bit of a swing here with Halfway Line, see if D'Amato can get this one home. It's a class question, but from my perspective, really Du Jour is the class horse here. That's the one horse that you can say towers over everybody else in class. After that, like First Piece and Flashiest and Conclude and some other, like I'm not as scared of those horses class wise as I am of Du Jour. Halfway Line, I think, has a chance of taking a step forward here, first time in stakes company, and should get a good trip from the 2 posts as well. So we'll see if we can get a price home here. Halfway Line at 15-1.
Yeah, I was with you. I wish Barrios had stayed aboard. That was the one that kind of made me go, all right, I'll wait on you. But is another one trending in the right way? And D'Amato's got what, 4 or 5 in here? I mean, yeah. He knows what he's entering, right? He's not just making it all up on the fly. We agreed on the 3. We agreed on the 9. We also agreed on the 8. Conclude, another for Phil D'Amato. This is the one where Barrios is riding. And I thought that his Wicker Stakes effort, which First Piece won, are both using. I know this horse was 4th behind Astronomer and Flashiest, who were back in this race. He got 4th without ever, that was not his preferred running style at all. You look at his back races, the Del Mar Derby that he won last year, stalking, pressing, got the win. The Oceanside Stakes that he won before that race, stalking, pressing, win. He was 15 lengths behind in a field of 11 going a mile in the fastest turf mile that we've had all meet long at Del Mar. I think that's pretty damn good that he got that far behind and he didn't quit. His class and ability kind of went, we're pretty good. Watch us come up here. So that was my case for using Conclude, along with this being where Barrios ended up.
Yeah, I mean, that race was drunk. Like, Noble Reflection went out and went crazy early. Cabo Spirit was still in Cabo. Decided to push that pace every step of the way. Air Force Red came out. They all faded back to last, second to last, and 4th to last when it came down the stretch. It's why First Piece was able to make the run from, like, when you're 4th, 7 off the lead, that immediately should trigger you to look at a chart, right? Like, wait a second, why are we 4th, 7 off a lead in this big of a field? It means someone's going nutty up top, and that's what you had. We had a couple horses go crazy, and I thought Conclude was the one horse that benefited the least from it. Like, First Piece was able to get a decent trip behind it. Conclude was just way out of it and in a spot where he never wants to be. I don't think we're going to see Conclude being double-digit lengths back here around the first turn. I think you're going to see Conclude being much closer to the pace. I get a much better trip, and hopefully what happens is that last race allows us to get a better price. And so right now 6-1 on the morning line was 3.5-1 in the Wicker there. I think should probably be 3.5-1 again, especially since we're not giving £4 to First Piece like we were last time out. So we'll see if Conclude able to take a step forward off that effort. But it's definitely better than it looked on paper, and there is a bunch of reasons why I think you might want to flip the 8 and the 9 today. It's why I included the 9 on the ticket, but it was the last one on for me here. The 8 was the 3rd pick.
So we had the right idea, hopefully the right idea, the same idea. We went 3, 8, and 9 in various orders. We thought Du Jour is the top pick, and then we went looking for a long shot to kind of mess things up if that doesn't happen. I ended up on the 5, Lamas, a horse that is on a 4-race win streak over 3 different surfaces. 3 races back and 4 races back, he won on the synthetic at Golden Gate Fields. 2 races back, he wins the Grade 3 San Francisco Mile, the very last running of that race, on the turf at Golden Gate. And then he won the Pleasanton Mile on the dirt last time out. Like, this horse has been all over the place in Northern California and running well. He's in top form. Now, this is an extremely big step up in class, but he just shows up and tries, and the speed figures are putting him right there in contention. If you consider that he's now going to be in a high level grade 2 race, that he's probably going to get a little bit of an inflated number for whatever his effort is here. It puts him right there with the top horses. Balnikov, he beat in the San Francisco Mile 2 races back. Balnikov exited that to go win the Dinner Party Stakes at Pimlico, a grade 3 race. So he was beating a decent horse there. He's a long shot. I kept gravitating back to this horse going, hey, look at those works. He's still in. There's just something. Maybe he just at 7 years old has finally figured it out, Mike.
Like he's consistent. And
he's a win machine.
Runs good numbers. The race 2 back, he did face Air Force Red, who finished 8th in the race we were just talking about. So not a great sign there.
He was one of the donkeys that went way too fast early.
He was one of the donkeys that went way too fast early. The only donkey who didn't go way too fast early and still stunk was the 6. Iridero is back here, so don't play the 6 in the spot. The trip I could see. That's the thing with the 5. I could see a trip here where it works, and the trainer's 23%. That's good. Only 4 shots at graded stakes. One of those is a win. To me, that's a good sign as well, because it means you're not overplacing your horses like crazy. And this was the horse that delivered that graded stakes win. So there is some things to like about the 5 here. I think not a crazy horse in my mind.
Oh, we did definitely agree on Du Jour, though, being the top pick in the Del Mar Mile. That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us. Yes, sir.
If someone's Franken-ticketing it, are they singling the 3 then? Is that what we say? Because if you could not Franken-ticket this with our doing singles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Single Du Jour in the last.
Yeah. So if you're Franken-ticketing single Du Jour in the last and then mold those puppies together, and you're going to be real deep in a lot of spots.
You're going to be really deep and really nervous if and when you get to the Del Mar Mile going, come on, Baffert. Come on, Baffert. Come on, Baffert. Baffert on turf is the favorite. What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Let's take a couple shots of tequila and find out. We'll give out our tickets one last time for the audio listeners. For those of you watching us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, take a look down below. We've got them right there. I'll start off for 50 cents. We go 5, 9, 11 with 5, 8, 9 with 3, 7, 8, 9, 10 with 7 and then 3, 5, 8, 9. That's $90 for me. We both went a little expensive, even though we have a single in here because we're taking some shots on prices. What's your ticket, bud?
I'm gonna play like you said, a little bit more expensive here. I'm going 2, 5, 7, 11 with 2, 3, 6 with 1, 3, 8, 9 with 3 with 2, 3, 8, 9. It's 96 for 50 cents. Knock out if the 2 scratches in the first leg, just take it off. Just pull it back. Then it's $72 for 50 cents. The 2 ran 7 days ago. I like this 2 shot. It's 20-1 especially. I'm willing to take a swing with it. It's gonna be Ruiz Senior Day at Del Mar on Saturday. A Ruiz double coming up to start out this sequence. Magic, you ready for
that? There's no one else I'd rather be in the daily double to than Mick, because you're gonna get one hell of a payoff. You're gonna have a life-changing payoff on that $2 bet. Justice for Shelby, his daughter. She was the much better trainer. Racing.
Whatever happened there? He just took all the horses from her, didn't he?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I don't know how much Aaron loves when I speculate about trainers' personal lives. If I remember correctly, Shelby got married / had a child. I know she had a child, and so I'm sure that took away from the training duties. But I also think for the second time in their tumultuous relationship, father took the duties away from his daughter. He's flat out did that with that Union Rags filly that they had.
I remember betting Shelby Ruiz when Mick Ruiz was the owner, and I used to like doing it because you would get one of those 20-1, 25-1 shots at Del Mar home every single season. And the straight Mick Ruiz training for Mick Ruiz not as good of an angle.
No, it really isn't. And I feel comfortable saying all this because I don't know the next time I'll see Mick Ruiz. I'm not going to be at Del Mar for a while, so I don't have to worry about running him into him in an elevator and him staring daggers at me and saying, I know who you are.
Yeah.
Hey, Bolt Doro's coming back. And guess what? Who was right, Mick? Who was right? Over at racenews.com, the Pacific Classic Betting Bible is available for pre-sale. It should be out Friday, August 30th. You can get picks for every race, every race at Del Mar on Saturday. People who've asked for the live bankroll article, it is back. The Traverse Stakes picks went very, very well. So if you're going to play Del Mar, check out the Pacific Classic Betting Bible over on the website. And reminder, if you are a subscriber to the premium products, to the Rockets, to the Somobombs, if you're a monthly subscriber, you get all of these betting Bibles included with your subscription. So sign up for the Somobombs or the premium products and get your hands on the betting Bible on the site. Where can people watch you on VSiN, Mr. Somich?
This weekend, it's going to be 2 to 3 Pacific on Friday and then noon to 9 Pacific Saturday and Sunday. Lots of college football talk, Magic. We've got college football back officially. I got 2 plays for tonight if anyone wants to tail them. Give me Minnesota taking on North Carolina on the money line. Like the 4 returning offensive lineman starters for Minnesota. I think they're going to be able to run the ball down North Carolina's throat. And then give me Jacksonville State, one of my favorite teams to bet last year, back in action against the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers without Grayson McCall for what feels like the first time in a decade. They've got a transfer quarterback in who was not able to win the job for Michigan State. So it looks like they're going to go with the second stringer last year, which is never a good sign when you bring in a transfer from a bigger school and they can't win the job. Their defense also very much down. I think Jacksonville State gets rolling on the offensive side, puts up some points, and covers the 3-point spread.
Especially when that's a bigger school with a not so big future ahead for their football season in Michigan State. I will be on FanDuel TV tonight. So I've got the 6 to 9 shift covering mostly all thoroughbreds the first hour, a mix of thoroughbreds and standardbreds the second hour, and then all Australian races the third hour. And thank God Adam McGrath is going to be live in Australia to cover those. And I'll mostly just direct traffic because no, I don't know Jack. I know, hey, that's a Godolphin horse. I'll probably play that one.
That would be the ultimate trifecta of handicapping. Like, okay, I got a bunch of thoroughbreds. You got to throw quarter horses in there if you want to hit the super. I wouldn't be shocked if there's some quarter horses tonight as well. But you got to go thoroughbreds into the harness, right into Australia. Quarter horses sprinkled in there. Nothing like a nighttime TVG shift. I'd be lying if I said I haven't watched that channel and just hammered at those races before, though. Definitely has happened.
I try to give you winners. I also try very hard to not give you ones that I know won't win. If I don't have a pick, you won't hear anything from that. So check that out. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Good luck with Pacific Classic weekend. Good luck with the final weekend at Saratoga. Have a wonderful Labor Day, everybody. Are you doing anything fun?
No.
In Vegas?
Just hanging out. They're going to be hanging out here last weekend before the NFL season starts. So don't have to make the trek back to Vegas here until next weekend.
Yep. I'll be in studio every day. So check me out over there. Till next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.